All right, on this 1956 Chevrolet pickup, we had a generator just failed finally, which they can be rebuilt, right? Rebuilt units are like 250, 300 bucks. Voltage regulators, 125 bucks. I don't know what a rebuild kit for that is, but it's probably not that much money. But anyways, I made the decision to go with a one-wire alternator. So in converting this pickup to a alternator, it's pretty simple. All you have to do is replace the generator with the alternator and then run a wire from the alternator over to the battery. In this case, where I'm actually going to go is I've got the battery connection here on the regulator that does go to the battery. So I'm just going to run my one wire alternator over here, disconnect everything else. I'll probably just leave this in place just for looks and have so it's just isolated to this. That should keep my ammeter and everything else working, so all that will work. So the first step, just remove the V-belt here and then remove the generator bracket. However, turns out the generator bracket is also the mounting point for the engine mount. So a little bit annoying, I'm going to have to jack up the engine to remove the generator bracket. So something I didn't really anticipate, but it's not that difficult. It's just annoying. Another one of those stupid things. It's like, why? But anyway, so yeah, you have to remove the motor mount, which means you got to jack up the engine in order to get the generator bracket off. So that'll be next. All right, so I put a little block of wood on top of my jack. Just gave a little bit of support to the oil pan underneath, and was able to very easily pull that out with the support. You can see the jack down below supporting the engine. I put that bracket in. This is an adjustable bracket available in the aftermarket. And so what I did is I threw the alternator in there so that I could align up the belt, tightened up the back bolt because that's the one that's really accessible, and then remove the alternator again so that I could tighten the other bolts. You've got these, there's actually 3 bolts, the motor mount bolt and then the 2 bracket bolts here. So got those to still tighten up, but that's the brackets in and aligned just by, you basically did a mock-up on the alternator. So yep, next step. Okay, so for my alternator, I didn't want a high output one. This truck is basically completely stock. I don't have any fancy radio in there. So there is an AM radio in there that doesn't draw very much, and I did put electric wipers in. But aside from the electric wipers, there's nothing that's, added on. There's no electric fans or anything. So what I don't need is a huge output alternator. So, and one of the reasons why I chose to get a relatively low, this one's I think a max 60, it says max 66, they advertise it, I think it was a 67 or 68, whatever it is. So one of the reasons that I chose this is wiring. My goal is actually to just plug into the factory wiring harness. So, and that's on that battery over there, and looking at what that's capable of handling. It's not capable of handling a high performance aftermarket alternator, but a fairly standard one should be able to handle. So I am going to run a new wire from the actual alternator here up to that position, and that'll be a fairly heavy wire, but I don't want to make it too heavy because then I'd rather have the wire here be bad than the one under the dash. So I'll more or less match what's there from the factory. So anywho, next step. All right, so I've got it bolted in. I adjusted up the belt alignment so that that's aligned. This is obviously not how I'm going to leave it, but I've got my wire in and goes up. So what I'm going to do now is see what happens. I'll tape that in so that it becomes part of the harness, and I like to keep the old wires just because they don't hurt anything. The bottom 2 on the regulator over here I'm going to take away. Well, I'm not going to use them, but if I can keep them here, maybe someday I want to go back to generator. I don't know why I would, but I just keep them because the wiring's in pretty good shape. So anywho, it's connected. So the next step is to reconnect the battery cable and see what happens, right? I mean, hopefully we don't have any smoke. All right, so well, here goes nothing. I'm going to turn on the key, see what happens, if anything. Let's see the amp. I can see the amp gauge. I'm looking right into the sun, so it's a bit hard. Okay, we have key on. Gauges came on. I'm in neutral. Let's see what happens. Well, we're definitely charging. So that's a good sign. We'll see how far it goes over or if it calms itself down, but it's definitely charging. Well, let's go see if I can keep it running. When it's cold like this, sometimes he's a bit ornery, but make sure we don't have any hot wires or anything. But right now, it's sure acting like it's doing its thing. Yep, she's spinning. So I say that right now I'm calling, at least initially anyways, some success, which is good. So we're back to charging. I don't have to worry about going dead. I was driving around on just the battery, so I would call this one, at least so far, success. All right, we get our final hookup. The wiring harness is as it was originally. I actually just kind of wrapped it in there. So there it is up to there. So hopefully we got it. I'm feeling a little bit better. Time will tell. But right now, I'm feeling pretty good about it. Got our charging system back. Let's go to work. We got some work to do.